so far in the Cup, but this is a big test, having overcome MPL Queensland and MPL Victorian opposition in Gold Coast United and South Melbourne Football Club. Today, Steve Corica and his side measure themselves against Steve Corica's former club, the one he took to a Premier's plate himself, 2 championship victories, and 2 years ago a second Australia Cup in Sydney FC's illustrious history. If they stay on track and get through this quarter-final, they will take on Heidelberg, the Victorian NPL side and giant killers in this season's edition of the Australia Cup. And they will stay on track for potentially a third Australia Cup victory. That would equal the record in its current format of Adelaide United, the only side to have 3 Australia Cup wins so far. Both these two sides have kept back-to-back clean sheets in the round of 32 and the round of 16 so far, and they've met twice already in Auckland FC's young history. A 1-0 victory courtesy of Nando Pineacres. Only goal in stoppage time at the end of their round 2 clash at the start of last season, and then a 2-2 draw. Adrian Segacic with a couple of fantastic goals from that left foot that's taken him to Portsmouth in the English Championship, before Rogerson and De Vries pulled it back to equalise. Here come our 2 sets of players. Sydney then have never beaten the new kids on the block in those previous 2 meetings. And if they want to keep those hopes alive of a third Australia Cup triumph, well, they will have to make a little bit of history this evening. It's a big matchup between 2 of the sides we expected perhaps to feature prominently last season. It was a little bit of roles reversal almost, with Sydney FC very highly fancied at the start of last season, missing out on finals in the end, and Auckland FC, who were something of an unknown quantity, in the end suffering just 3 defeats in the season on their way to the Premier's plate. The only 3 defeats in their history so far. Well, let's have a look at how they line up. 2 changes from Ufuk Talai's side, both enforced calf strains. Sidelining in the centre of defence, Jordan Courtney Perkins, and in attack, Al Hassan Toure, scorer of the opening goal against Sydney United in the round of 16. Alex Grant comes in the centre of defence for his first start of the new season, and 16-year-old Akol Akon gets his first competitive start on the left wing. Pat Wood moves in up front, and it's a 150th appearance for Sydney FC for Joel King. For their opponents, Auckland FC, well, it's already a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Auckland, 2 big wins so far, 4-0 over Gold Coast United, 3-0 over South Melbourne. So Steve Corica, despite a few new options on the bench, has gone with an unchanged starting 11 from the side that overcame South Melbourne. Jesse Randall keeps his place up front. He has 6 goals in 4 pre-season matches so far, including 3 in the 2 cup games. Louis Verstraete, the influential Belgian midfielder, is back from injury and on the bench for the first time this season. Lockie Brooke, who came off the bench for his Auckland debut against South Melbourne, is there as well, and they're joined by the giant frame of Sam Cosgrove, the 28-year-old Englishman who has just signed on. 1 metre 92, 6'4", 28 years of age, and expected to replace Max Mata in that role as the big number 9. There is Steve Corica, won it all as a player and then as a coach. Every single trophy in domestic Australian football at Sydney FC. Already has silverware as coach of Auckland FC, and he's up against a former teammate and an old mate in Ufuk Talay. Our referee for this evening's clash is Casey Rybelt. She's being assisted by Kearney Robinson, and Alessandro Lana Beckmacki is the fourth official, and we are underway at Jubilee Stadium. Sydney FC looking to continue their run to another final in the Australia Cup. The A-League's most successful team looking to translate league success to the top of the tree in cup success as well. But Andy Harper, a very, very big opponent in the form of Auckland FC against them this evening.
Yeah, good evening, Robbie. Well, 12 months ago, we'd have had no idea that we get to a cup match and it's a big billing between two heavyweights. Sydney have built that, of course, over 20-odd years. Auckland were nothing this time 12 months ago, but in the space of that time, they've shown that they're a force to be reckoned with, and here we are now at Cogra's Jubilee Oval for a cup quarter-final with, in the domestic sense, two bona fide heavyweights going at it for a place in the semi.
A semi that could be played as early as next weekend. We are told, if all the moving parts come together. Heidelberg confirmed their second place in the Victorian NPL this afternoon. Avondale, the other NPL side, already into the semi-finals, will host the other semi against the winner of tomorrow's final quarter-final. Newcastle versus MacArthur, the defending winners of the Cup. And so we could have two Melbourne semi-finals next weekend. But of course, there are plenty of moving parts involved in all that, and it is not confirmed just yet. Here is Ocon Jr. on the ball. He's already looking a fine addition to this Sydney FC squad, which may not resemble the one that starts the A-League season in a couple of months' time. Foul on Joe Lolly. Ufuk Tale is without his two Brazilians, Douglas Costa and Leo Senna, still, and there is some doubt starting to emerge as to whether he will have either of those two for the new A-League season. Certainly there's no doubt that Douglas Costa wants to be back at Sydney. Here's Joe Lolly. His cross off De Vries, and we'll get back to the transfer talk after this corner, the first of the match in favour of the home side. Lolly to take with that left foot, the in-swinger. In it comes. Wout comes and punches, a good punch in the end from Michael Wout. And Ryan Grant, Sydney's all-time leading appearance maker, making his way across to take this throw. He's just signed another new contract with the club. There are a couple of new faces already at Sydney FC, and Al Hassan Toure and Paul Ocon. Al Hassan Toure missing today with that calf strain. There is promise of more new faces to come, and we've just had rumours that perhaps even we may have, and not to Sydney FC necessarily, but someone like Mario Balotelli could be, well, has expressed an interest.
He has.
Let's put it that way.
It's real interest. It's real interest too, my mail. And would be fantastic, don't you reckon, Robbie? Just a serious superstar of the game. In some senses, a history of being an enfant terrible, but a super talent and a magnet for fans. I don't know. Sydney were in the market famously for Thomas Muller, and that didn't come off. You just wonder if there's any space in the considerations at Sydney. It is a little mouth-watering even just to let yourself get away with the current circumstances, and imagine Douglas Costa feeding the ball to Mario Balotelli. It would attract a lot of attention, you'd have thought.
Absolutely. Well, the Sydney FC coach has said that the clock is ticking concerning both his Brazilians, because Leo Senna, it was revealed in midweek, is not in physical or mental position to be fully training with the club at the moment. And Ufuk saying, well, if Douglas Costa can't return to the club, despite the fact that he's expressed publicly that he wants to play for Sydney FC this season, he's dealing with some personal issues back in Brazil, unable to leave for the moment. And if that drags on too long, the transfer window shuts in mid-September. Sydney FC will have to move before then if they want to bring someone in. Here's Auckland with the first chance for them to get forward. Guillermo Mai putting it wide towards Logan Rogerson. His cross beyond everyone. It's a risky pass back inside, and Yuli has to stretch. They've turned it over. The ball bouncing around. Is there a foul there on Hahn? No, says the referee. Dan Hall with Guillermo Mai. Again, the Uruguayan. Guillermo Mai, as they say down south in Argentina and Uruguay. Cross in. Back post. Marley Francois. His cross back in is not a bad ball. Alex Grant's header away. Reece Yuli coming deep, and this time it's a foul on the 16-year-old Hahn.
Oh, very good speed to the game the opening 6 minutes. Sydney looked fresh in their early attacks, and Auckland with their first opportunity to have a look at the Sydney lineup and really caused some pressure points there, exposed some pressure points. And let's get this one away early, Robbie. Your team news before the game, with Sydney missing 2 players with soft tissue injuries. Normally, one wouldn't get that worked up at this stage, but I'm going to say that is a red flag early. I look at how Sydney's season collapsed last year, and we're not privy to the internal reviews as to why they got carried out in a pine box in the semi-final of the Asian semi-final competition and didn't make the 6. That's their business. But the whole sports science, strength and conditioning must have been part of it, because they look flogged. And now here we are in a cup quarter-final, and 2 of the younger guys are unavailable because of soft tissue trouble. I mean, the red flag's got to be out now.
Jordan Courtney Perkins, who played against Sydney United, and before that against Wrexham and also Western United. They've also had a couple of friendly matches against Blacktown City and Hakoah Sydney City. Both comfortable victories in those friendly matches. And Al Hassan Toure, the new signing. It's a good ball through the lines, finding Pat Wood, who gets another chance in a more central role. Turned over though, and won back by Paul Ocon Jr. Gallegos with Rogerson. With Howison rather, who has not been called up to the All Whites, as that ball runs along and out of play across this pristine surface, which has been seeing a lot of action with about a game a week over the last few months. And we'll head down to Neve Owens in a moment for an update on the pitch. In fact, we might come down to you now, Neve. How is it down there pitch side?
The pitch is looking in really good nick, Robbie, as you said. It was resurfaced 3 years ago. The drainage fixed up 2 years ago, and it has coped really well with the huge amount of rain we've had here in Sydney this week. So well, in fact, that the home side, Sydney FC, asked for a little extra water pre-kickoff. We saw the sprinklers on. You did a dash, I must say, Robbie. I coped with it very calmly when those sprinklers came on in the warm-up in the pre-game tonight. Good crowd in. Ticket numbers, sales were pretty slow early on, and that's to be expected after the week we've had in Sydney. But you can hear the Cove in the background, getting into the vibe of things nice and early.
Thank you, Nevo.
Pitch is slick, Robbie. Looks great, but players are slipping. They've got their ice skates on. I'm not sure about what studs the players are wearing, but 4 players, by my reckoning, already have lost their footing.
Yeah, we saw Joe Lolly, one of them. Reece Yuli.
They'll be having to get in touch with Ben Collins, the old football reboot. Get some aluminium studs into the... So there's Lolly. This is not on, man. They're falling over already. Lolly twice now has been eating grass.
Here's Francois looking for Mai. Lolly again. Has it back. This time he can try and get away, and does so well. With Reece Yuli. Lolly takes over again as play continues. Here's Pat Wood with space. Akon now on the edge of the area. Akon, the youngster, trying to take on Callan Elliott, one of the Auckland players called up to the All Whites, and he defended that well.
There was a lovely counter-attack launched by Joe Lolly, who has shown what he can do when he does stay on his feet. He is looking in good nick, actually. Joe was, to me, back into last season, physically looked like he was really struggling. He's looking really sharp in the cup. And that was a nice counter-attack led by him. A remarkable ball hit at full speed with the outside of his left foot that went completely square to him. I don't know how he did it. But it found Patrick Wood, who helped the ball onto the youngster. And a great chance for Sydney in prospect came to nothing.
Another chance for Pat Wood in that central striking role. Got just a penalty to his name against Hakoa in that first friendly of pre-season so far. Here's De Vries. Excellent left foot that he has. Guillermo Mai. No foul, says the referee on Ryan Grant. Mai still going into the area now and claimed by Hoefslot, who releases quickly the young goalkeeper. Akon evades the challenge of Callan Elliott this time. Joel King back. Corey Holman, the touchback for Akon. Good football from Sydney. Joe Lolly now on his left, blocked by De Vries. Well, that was some nice combination football. Oh, and that's just silly from Akol Akon, who's going to pick up a booking from Casey Rybelt, barely 13 minutes in.
Marley Francois.
Well, he got it in the end.
He got it. Marley Francois was absolutely perplexed. Casey Rybelt is now correcting things. She showed Marley the yellow card, did the referee, for being yanked back. The card goes correctly to Akon. And good on Casey Rybelt. No tolerance for that at all. There are other referees who would have just played the free kick, and that's all. But I think that is the right way to handle it. Once, of course, you've given the card to the correct person.
Only 16 years of age, but already happy to get the professional fouls in there. It was a rather needless one, to be fair.
Well, I see a lot of the kids doing it, and I can say this in the context of alcohol because he's only 16, but you see a lot of the kids doing exactly that in the NPL youth matches on the weekend and go unpunished.
Now an opportunity for Auckland FC on the front foot. And De Vries, another one of the All Whites for the Soccer Ashes in a couple of weeks' time. And that fantastic left foot looking to whip in here. Good ball, completely missed by Alex Grant, who's some tall timber in there. Back it comes. Grant does better this time. And Hoefsloot comes under pressure. He's fouled. So it'll be a free kick for the young goalkeeper, who I would have thought we could say standing in, but I'm not sure he's standing in anymore, for Harrison Devonish-Mears, who's missing after ankle surgery. They have big raps on Gus Hoefsloot at Sydney FC. There is, of course, the chance that he heads off with Australia to the Under-20 World Cup in Chile. One of a number of Sydney FC players who could be in that boat, including the midfielders, Wataru Kamijo and Paul Ocon. Rhys Yuli, here's another, as well as a host of kids on the bench as well this evening. It falls outside a FIFA window, so the clubs are not under any obligation to let their players go. One thing that might work in Australia's favour for the under-20s is that the tournament is more or less before the start of the A-League season. Not the case for the Thomas Waddinghams and Nestor Irankundas, who are playing their football in Europe, however. Sakai in the centre of defence for the second game in a row, with the absence of Nando Pineacre. He has undergone ankle surgery as well. Dan Hall's pass only finds Ryan Grant. Back with Alexander Popovic. He looks long towards Lolly. Wrestling with De Vries. Holman can't get there, and a good defensive header from Dan Hall, but an attacking throw for Sydney FC on the halfway line. Free kick again. Sydney's way. Popovic has got Grant alongside him. Sydney FC, who, when we talk about how this squad may not necessarily resemble the one that starts the A-League season, Marcel Tisserand is here this evening. I saw him arrive with Ufuk Talay just before the warm-up. Possession already in Sydney FC's favour. A central defender. Another one, so a Frenchman who came through the ranks at AS Monaco, played at Toulouse before heading to Germany, then Turkey, and more recently in Saudi Arabia, where he revealed that he played against a very dangerous winger by the name of Goodwin. But he was also quick to point out that he got 2 wins against Goodwin as well. Oh, as Yuli can't release Pat Wood. One over the top. Not a bad ball towards Jesse Randall. Flag up for offside.
Yeah, Yuli looked for Pat Wood, but he actually had a more direct threat available to him in Joe Lolly. Just wasn't aware. Surely he must... It must have been that he wasn't aware of Joe Lolly, because it was an easier pass and it was a more threatening one.
Here is Rhys Yuli on the ball, back with Ryan Grant. Corey Holman. Oh, now is that Ocon's been caught there by Cam Howison. Referee wants to have a word as well. hasn't reached for the pocket. Yes, she does now. So 1 yellow card apiece as Howison goes into the book for that lunge on Paul Ocon. Ocon, good awareness around him, first time, and some lovely skills as well. Lolly and Yuli, this is good football, and Howison, a second foul in quick succession. The crowd want it, Sydney FC just letting the referee know as well, and Howison has to tread carefully probably for the next few minutes.
Well, he was quick to his feet to apologise. And given the first card that he was awarded, which I thought was a pretty low threshold actually, I think that's more of a yellow card than the first one. Net result, in my opinion, is that it's right that he stayed on the field. Because the combination
across
of those
the two of them.
Yeah, the combination of those two shouldn't have amounted to an expulsion.
You're going to put an XG figure on that for us, right. Across those two fouls.
A YG, YC.
An XYC.
Yeah, that's right.
XB, expected bookings for Cam Howison. Here's Popovic, who's allowed the time on the ball, and that's a good switch of play as well for Ocon. He's looking for Pat Wood with the back heel. He's certainly not lacking confidence, the young man. Oh, that's given away cheaply. Kajama Mai, he's a very tidy technician. The number 10 for Auckland likes to come deep, and Sydney have to be careful of him picking up the ball in those broken play situations where he can do real damage. Ocon again. Barakol. Closed down, did well to hold on to possession. Ocon again. Popping up all over the park already. Paul Ocon, and gets another foul on the fleet-footed Akol Ocon. Popovic for Yuli. Well, the lead-up play was good. The final product, not so much.
It's been pretty slick from both teams, actually. I think the conditions certainly help. Beautiful playing surface. Apart from the fact that some players have been slipping over. Although, in fairness, in the last 10 minutes, no players have gone base over. So maybe they've learnt to adjust. It's been very sharp so far.
Well, as we heard from Neve Owens, Sydney getting the pitch watered before and after warm-up, so that it was slick and the ball can be pinged around. That's a great first touch from Pat Wood, now taking on Dan Hall. Clever idea as well, because he must have heard the call from Corey Holman, making his way through the middle, but it was well defended.
That was good awareness from Pat Wood. Just didn't quite have the room to hit the pass that he'd seen and the run that he'd observed. Good recovery from Dan Hall, Etta, to put that pressure on.
Again, Sydney knocking the ball around well in the middle of the park. Pat Wood sliding to keep it alive with Joel King. His 150th match for Sydney FC, 119 in the A-League.
So the arrival of Tisserand, Robbie, as a central defender, poses an interesting potential scenario at Sydney. Is Uffy preparing for a change of formation at the back? You've got Grant starting, just re-signed. Alexander Popovic, who was secured to a multi-year deal out of his loan period. That's 2 centre-backs. Tisserand makes 3. Courtney Perkins back in to the frame. So is there potential there? Be interesting to see how Uffy settles things down, or he sticks with a back 4 and you have a very good centre-half not playing on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. Tisserand started out life as a fullback as well, a bit like Courtney Perkins, who can fill both roles. Long for Popovic to deal with. It was Jesse Randall looking to make that run in behind. Again, Guillermo Mai very quickly onto the scene. Receives from Marley Francois. Here's Jesse Randall. He's been in very good goal-scoring form. Got another couple against South Melbourne, and he was on target there. Albeit a rather ambitious effort. Howison. Marley Francois. Does that come off a hand? It's still alive. Ball bouncing around in there. There was Gallegos, who'd got forward into a very advanced position from his regular midfield role. He and Howison taking it in turns to get forward. Callan Elliott with the cross in.
That's nice work from Callan Elliott. He's had the better of the Jules over there up against the youngster, who's looking busy, Hahn. Good learning experience for him. But Elliott has been impressive to start this new campaign. The cup matches that he's played in, he's looked very sharp indeed, and he's continued that in to the game here tonight.
Good understudy. New Zealand international as Hoefsloot makes a good claim. Now wants to release quickly. In the end, can't do so. He apologises to Akol Akon because he was looking right, and perhaps there was an option left. Popovic forcing Alex Grant to track. The fact that Sakai can step into the centre of defence as well and bring Callan Elliott in shows you how important it is to have versatility in these roles. Ufuk Talay did give Joel King an opportunity in the centre of defence last season as well. He seems to have changed that. Idea at least. The right back position is pretty much sewn up every season with a very reliable Ryan Grant. Now, is there a foul there? No, says the referee. Perhaps the fact that the ball had already run away, which was working against Pat Wood in that occasion. Vowed with the long clearance. His position in between the posts for Auckland FC will come under scrutiny now with another Kiwi international just signing in the form of Ollie Sale, who is cup tied for the Australia Cup, having played for Perth Glory against the Wellington Phoenix before changing camp. Yuli, it's out for a corner. Both sides have had a number of set pieces so far. This is a second corner for Sydney FC. Again, it's Lolly to take from this side. In it comes. It's a good ball as well, and Grant's header. What's the referee seen there? Goal kick it is. There's been a little push in there. Foul didn't come for it though. Sakai. Howison back to Sakai. Ball forward towards Rogerson. Now here's Guillermo Mai. Has he been caught there by Joe Lolly? No, just a good challenge. Ocon. He stayed down, and referee's heading into the book again. And this time Marley Francois does get his yellow card. Didn't seem much more than a little late, I guess.
It's Ocon again on the receiving end.
Looks like he did land on the foot.
Yeah, fair enough. No complaints with that one. Wasn't malicious from Marley Francois, but late nonetheless.
The Chilean Gallegos. All the way back with Dan Hall. Gallegos again with Marley Francois. De Vries. Mai. That's a heavy touch, out for a throw. Let's head back down to Neve Owens on the sidelines. Neve.
Sydney FC bench feeling quite frustrated with the number of stoppages in this first half, Robbie. They've been asking how many fouls are okay. Sydney FC young guns really taking this opportunity to show Orfi, the boss, what they can do heading into the new season. There's still 3, maybe 4 positions available within this Sky Blues roster. Another international signing on the way perhaps, so a really good opportunity for some of these players to show the boss that they've got what it takes to step up and play in the A-Leagues.
Thank you, Neve. Yeah, it's interesting, that frustration, and also probably trying to just get in the fourth official's ear a little bit as well. We know that Steve Corica's Auckland last season were a very professional side. They relied a lot on set pieces. They were very well organised. And without saying they were masters of the dark arts, they knew what a professional foul was all about and how to make a tackle when they needed to, as well. As here is Marley Francois, clatters into Holman. Sakai back with Dan Hall, and all the way back to Michael Vowd. Again, it's a nice first touch from Mai. De Vries. Ball in. It was a great ball in. It's in the back of the net, but the flag is up before then for offside. It'll be interesting to see who was offside in all of that. May have been Jesse Randall in the middle, but Auckland just baring their teeth a little there.
Well, the drive from Guillermo Mai initially, and Francis de Vries with this beautiful left foot of his, and it was Jesse Randall who'd strayed into an offside position.
Disallowed goal, correctly so. by the officials with 10 minutes left in the first half. Well, that's another little warning for Sydney FC that when Auckland do get forward, they are dangerous. We haven't seen Michael Vowd forced into any sort of save at the moment. Sydney FC have had the ball, they've had some territory, but they haven't been able to carve out any chances yet. Callan Elliott. That's a good ball. Across from Rogerson. Can't find the arriving Marley Francois. Grant's header. Holman cleaning up with Ryan Grant again. Clever ball inside. Pat Wood, beautifully done. And a great switch of play. Callan Elliott was the player sucked in. Here's Akon. Bearing down on Sakai. Akon goes past him. Shot deflected just wide, and in the end, I think it's ricocheted back off Akon and out of play. But he did well to stand up Hiroki Sakai there.
Well, it was great work from Patrick Wood. Beautiful little touch, nutmeg touch, opened up the field, then a instinctive pass. And the advantage is now with the winger, old or young. He's got a great advantage at that point. You receive the ball not under pressure. Hiroki Sakai, Franco Baresi, whoever, you've got time to line them up. They're retreating. You can get some speed and momentum and shift their hips a little bit, which he succeeded in doing. But Auckland recovered well to see the chance away. But excellent from Pat Wood.
Foul on Guillermo Mai. Callan Elliott, a little slip by Rogerson. Corey Holman taking over. No offside against Wood. Akol keeps it in just. Joel King with Popovich. And again, Sydney FC comfortable in moving the ball around. Again, it's a nice touch from Ocon for Lolly. That's where the move breaks down. Howerson with Mai. Looking for the pace of Randall, but not enough on that ball over the top. Again with Gallegos. Well, we already have two MPL sides into the semi-finals. They will host both, Heidelberg and Avondale. This evening we'll find out who Heidelberg's opponents will be. Tomorrow night we'll find out who Avondale's will be. As De Vries's ball in is a good one. The header from Jesse Randall wasn't bad either, as he just allowed the ball to come and land on him.
Well, it's like clockwork, the De Vries service with the left foot, isn't it? He just does not miss. And he dropped it into the space there. Now, in normal circumstances, a ball in the air where it's Jesse Randall versus Alex Grant, you'd be backing Alex Grant, but you know, such was the positioning of the pass from De Vries and the movement of Randall. Grant was beaten by that tandem. And it was a decent effort from a difficult angle for Jesse Randall.
Howerson pouncing on the loose ball, but then he just catches Pat Wood, who was back helping out his midfield. Alex Grant made just 4 appearances last season for Sydney FC before succumbing to a calf strain. Another one. As here goes Yuli, who shoots, plenty of pace on it as well. It was struck purely. And Vowd perhaps wasn't the most convincing.
No, he's a little upset with himself, actually. Beaten by the dip of the ball. It's a good charge from Reece Yawley and shoots from a reasonable distance.
Ball in. Akol keeps it alive. Gets it back from Joel King. Akon again. Against Callan Elliott, who was trying to send him one way, then the other. Goal kick in favour of the away side. Sydney FC, who are a very different looking side to the one of last season. There's no Anthony Caceres, no Adrian Segicic, no Patrick Klimala as well. Jaden Kucharski's been on the move. First to Western United and now to Perth Glory. There was Hayden Matthews at the start of last season as well, who very quickly made his way into the Socceroos and then beyond. Zufuktele made mention to Neve Owens pre-game. Auckland look a pretty similar outfit. No Nader Moreno, the Colombian, or Max Mata, the big number 9, although they've managed to replace him with an even bigger number 9 by the looks of things. We might see him later. Sam Cosgrove. Ryan Grant gets there, does well. Here's Lolly. Ocon. That's in an offside position, won't chase that one. Randall. That's just a bit of a hopeful ball over the top towards Guillaume Omai. Randall gives chase though. Ocon, first time he's mishit a pass, but he gets away with it. Ufslot not taking any chances. Oh, and it's Yuli's turn to give it away to Randall. He is very quick, Jesse Randall, if he can get a little bit of space facing goal. He's shown that he's got a great eye for goal. His first goal against South Melbourne was just a snap chance. The ball fell to him in the box. Auckland slowly starting to even up the possession stats as well. That were 60-40 at the start of the game. It's now back getting closer to 50-50. Sakai. Over the top for Joe Lolly. Only Akon arriving in the middle. Lolly looks for him. Sakai's defensive header with the help of Felipe Gallegos and Francis de Vries. They settled things. Rogerson back with Sakai, and again Auckland will have the ball. Auckland will have to try and break Sydney down in the final 60 seconds of regulation time in this first half. Mai again. That great first touch to take him away from defenders, and de Vries with the cross. It was Rogerson got his head on it. Auckland keep it alive. Randall, shot blocked. Grant's header, Marley Francois back in, and Alex Grant bring That's the ball away with the help of Joe Lolly, looking long for Rhys Yuli. Howison. Again, one way then the other. Here's Gallegos. His cross deflected off Ryan Grant, and then cleared by Alex Grant, but it's out for a corner, and this will be the last chance of the first half.
Well, this is a corner that didn't need to be conceded, actually. Sloppy from Alex Grant. Not very comfortable working his right foot. If Auckland can make this one count, it'll be a very cheap corner to have conceded, and it basis, extra focus required from Sydney.
1 minute of stoppage time has been announced. Now this is a tactic we saw last season, and it worked to brilliant effect for Auckland. They would crowd the 6-yard box with bodies. A number of times we saw a player head the ball in from basically a yard out. Often the delivery was De Vries. There's the mastermind behind it all, Steve Corica, and his assistants. It will be Marley Francois to take this corner. The 1 minute of stoppage time has elapsed. The entire minute has been waiting for this corner to be taken. In it comes, back post, and it was Dan Hall who got his head on it. Hoofsloot didn't get there.
Good enough defending job from Alex Popovic there. Very good job, actually. That was looking pretty dodgy for Sydney as the ball sailed across to Dan Hall. Popovic making a real nuisance of himself and saving the day.
Gus Hoofsloot with the goal kick. Casey Rybelt adding the extra time on. Perhaps we will have time for one more chance, and it might be for Sydney FC. Pat Wood, the flag stays down. He's forced wide. The cross towards Akon, and he just can't get there in time. Good play from Pat Wood again. The final chance of this half will be for Sydney FC. Corey Holman can't get the cross in, and that will be that. Well, the first half ending with a flourish, but without a goal. Despite both sides toiling hard, Auckland did have the ball in the back of the net, ruled out correctly for offside. But half-time in this third quarter-final of the 2025 Australia Cup, there is still plenty of work to be done by both sides in the second half. It's Sydney FC 0, Auckland FC 0.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
You are free.
Alright, PTC test as well. 1, 2, 3.
Thanks, Taz. Marcel Tisserand, welcome to Sydney. It's great to have you here. How are you feeling physically? How soon before we see you out in the middle?
I feel good, but when I saw my team looking like that, I'm a little bit stressful to go in because they are playing really well in the first half. But I feel much better as a couple of weeks, so I need some training more and then to join the team soon as possible.
We're used to seeing you playing in that centre-back role most recently. Is that where you think Uffy will use you for Sydney FC?
They are playing very well with character today. Hopefully in the second half it will be the same.
And what about for you in terms of the position that you'll play within this side? Do you think it will be centre-back as we've seen you most recently?
Yes, I'm a centre-back, so I'm going to play in centre-back, but I will help the team first. So if the coach needs me in any position as a striker also, I will be there. But no, I come for centre-back straight. Yeah.
You've got plans for your family to join you here shortly. They're not here quite yet. How are you settling in? How soon do you think you'll have the family here with you?
It's not that easy to be alone, so as soon as possible I will bring my family across to Sydney to discover this beautiful city.
Now, you've enjoyed watching that first half from up in the stands. What do you want to see more of in the second half from your side?
We look good. We look good in the first half. I think technically with the ball we reach the middle zone, but I think we need to be more aggressive in the last part of the pitch. And I think everyone expects Sydney to score a goal in the second half, so let's go.
It's great to have you here in Sydney. Can't wait to see you in action.
Yeah, soon.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Thank you. Lovely to meet you. Thank you for coming down for a chat.
home of Sydney FC. Probably quite often the home of Sydney FC this coming season. Allianz Stadium will be off limits in a couple of weeks' time as it undergoes heavy renovations of the playing surface. As you can see, Jake Brimmer is about to enter the fray for Auckland as the Sydney FC side return to the field of play. It is Cam Howison, the player, making way at half-time, so a change in the middle of the park for Auckland FC and Steve Corica. Sydney FC unchanged as they look to do what they failed to do last season, and that is get a win against Auckland FC. Mind you, they're not alone in that department. Only 3 defeats last season for Auckland in the A-League. That will be Auckland FC looking not dissimilar to All Whites at the moment out there. There are a few All Whites as well in that lineup. A couple of Australians, a couple of South Americans, and a Japanese legend as well. The second half is underway. Guillermo Mai getting Auckland, and while we are scoreless at the break, it is Auckland Andy Harper who probably looked the more likely scorer in that first half, because Sydney FC had a lot of the ball, but Sydney FC were rather toothless going forward.
Yeah, they looked, Auckland looked the more, I guess not surprisingly given it's such a settled lineup on the back of last year as well, but they looked the more convinced that they knew what they were doing. And Sydney just making these early steps, and they had a couple of impressive openings, nice little bits of play, but 2 or 3 other occasions when wrong options were taken, and you'd have to assume that that will become less of the case once people settle into the combinations.
First touch finds Callan Elliott. The line now with Guillermo Mai, wanted it straight back again. He's always hungry for the ball, the Auckland number 10. Gives it, wants it straight back, always in movement. Not always a sprint, but always clever in his positioning around the pitch. Gallegos. It's a good stretch from Rogerson, and they've got it straight back, Auckland. Callan Elliott with Sakai. Rimmer again into feed. Nice follow-up touch. Give and go, but crowded out by sky blue shirts. Ocon winning it back, and now Pat Wood down the left-hand side. Outside of the boot, ball towards Joe Lolly. Ryan Grant has it back. Holman for Grant again. The cross in, the opportunity for Sydney FC, and Auckland managed to clear their lines.
Thrust about that counter-attack from Sydney. He looked pretty sharp across the ground. Patrick Wood tonight. Jake Brimmer losing the ball, and in the end they recovered nicely, defended well. That situation, Auckland, having had their field opened up by the changeover. And the very positive run from Patrick Wood.
Thought about looking for Rogerson down the flank. They bring it back, and now through Gallegos to Dan Hall, switch from right to left. attacking move from Steve Corica, bringing on the more creative Jake Brimmer. De Vries cross towards Jesse Randall. I wonder if we will see the new signing, Sam Cosgrove, as well at some point. He's only been with the team for a week. Cross in, Gufslo with a fine grab, and that's a great release. And the foot race is won by the veteran, Hiroki Sakai. Years of age, Hiroki Sakai. Pat Wood is no slouch.
No, it was a spectacular throw from Hoofsley, but you just wonder in hindsight if he throws it to a Cole. Oh, beautiful again from Wood. Unfortunately, the pass at the end. He made the space so nicely.
Colin Elliott just about jinked himself into a cul-de-sac there. Now Wood again. Looks to accelerate. We've got Paul Ocon down again, not for the first time this evening.
That just back to that release from Hoofsley. You know, it was to see a keeper take it and be so aggressive and to back himself to make that throw release to Pat Wood was really outstanding. However, you also got to take into account very quickly who's Pat Wood got to beat to get to that ball, and once you've sort of made that decision, you get more out of the attack by rolling the less aggressive pass to a Con who had plenty of room to move, and you have an overload situation for Sydney on that situation. So just the aggression was fantastic from the keeper, just to peel it back that fraction in the decision making. Maybe there's some element of surprise that Hiroki Sakai at 35 can still hit the jets like that, but Pat Wood's moved really well tonight, and he didn't really make much of an impression. It was a good foot race, but there was never any real hint that he was going to get away from Sakai.
Now Paul Ocon Jr. on the back of the shirt, because Paul Ocon Sr., former Socceroo himself and current assistant coach to Tony Popovich with the Socceroo setup. It was a heavy challenge on Ocon, who was slowly back to his feet. Now it's going to be Sydney FC's ball. A drop ball now. Jesse Rybelt has finally got play back underway with the drop ball.
That was a throw in, wasn't it?
Well, apparently the whistle must have gone just before the ball went out of play. Hiroki Sakai was a bit confused as well. Sydney FC have it anyway, momentarily. Jake Brimmer up the line, kept in by Marley Francois with a nice first touch. But Sydney get numbers back. Elliott. Back with Sakai again. Both sides have been defensively pretty sound so far this evening. Sakai stretching. Grant gives it away. Guillaume Amai can't take full advantage. Now Corey Holman scoops it up over the top, but didn't really play the percentages that time, Corey Holman. Brimmer. Rogerson with the decoy run that didn't really open anything else up for Auckland, as Steve Corica, the Black Knights boss, sends his substitutes to go and warm up. Holman again. Doesn't release. Grant rode the challenge of Randall. Joel King comes back again. Joe Lolly hasn't seen much of the ball in this second half so far, but here he's going on a bit of a run. A little bit too much, perhaps. Felipe Gallegos just stepping in front of the Englishman. Brimmer. That's nicely done. One for Randall to chase. Hoofslot coming a long way. Francois was able to get his hands on the ball very quickly. He could have tried to take advantage of a disorganised Sydney defence. Oh, Pat Wood's been caught there. It was another good turn. Now Akol. Akon with the switch of play, looking for Reece Yuli, but can't find him. And now Pat Wood has stayed down. Referee Casey Rybelt has called a halt to proceedings again, and we might take this opportunity to head back down on the sidelines to Neve Owens. Neve.
Yeah, Pat Wood looks in a good bit of pain, Robbie. He's stayed down since that tackle. Casey Rybelt calling on attention now to go out and check on him. Sydney FC subs warming up down one end, and at the other end of the field, the Auckland subs doing their thing. I thought last season a number of times, Robbie, just how big and strong, how tall in stature this Auckland FC side was. Well, looking at this new signing, Sam Cosgrove, all 6'4" of him, he towers above his teammates. It'll be very interesting to see after only a week on the ground whether we do get to see him in action and whether he can really form a great partnership with that delivery, that service of De Vries. You think with the height advantage that he will have over so many defences within the league, that could be a really powerful option for Auckland moving forward this season. They're such a professional outfit, Robbie. Throughout the A-League season, they always flew in 2 days before match day, really recognising the impact that international flight has. They are treating the Cup just as seriously. Flew in on Thursday. They have the time here on the ground to settle in, to recover from the flight, and to make sure they're ready to go on match day.
Fantastic, Neve. Thank you for that. Yes, they had really taken the league by storm. Callan Elliott just coming across to give Pat Wood a little shake of the hand on his way off. He was clearly caught late. Not a dirty player, Callan Elliott, by any stretch, though. Just a reminder of how important arriving early. Oh, that's bounced off Grant, and they've got it back again. Guillermo Mai cleverly winning it back when it looked once or twice that he'd lost it there. That's a good touch from Yuli. Now Ocon. Good use of the body to get in front of Randall. Pat Wood, he's back on his feet and motoring. He's got Akon outside him, down into the box. Again, the pace of Callan Elliott across in cover.
There's a nice initial burst from Paul Ocon. And as things open up for Sydney, again, the gaps close really quickly with a very athletic recovery from the Auckland team. Spaces aren't available for long.
Here comes near post from Reece Yuli, who will have another chance now because the delivery was a little short to the front post. Approaching the hour mark in Sydney's south, and neither side has really created that outstanding opportunity where you think the deadlock could have been broken at this stage. You can see the possession there. When we first showed you that statistic, it was basically 60-40 in Sydney's favour. Auckland have come back in control, and now Hiroki Sakai is furious that that free kick has gone Sydney's way.
Well, it looked to me like Rhys Yuli turned straight into the defender. But Sydney players are worried about something in particular, mounting a pretty spirited campaign for something. I think that's inadequate ball security from Rhys Yuli myself.
Sakai
Jumped.
clearly felt that he'd taken the ball.
Yeah.
You could see him come in there again and say that he got the ball, whereas the Sydney FC players are saying that he was the last defender. They clearly felt it was a foul. Yuli with the set piece. Sakai again doing the defensive duties. Joel King with the big up and under. Flag up for offside against Ryan Grant. Mai with Elliott. Gallegos. Oh, great little touch to take him past Holman and shoot. Clever football from the experienced Felipe Gallegos, but he can't hit the target again.
It's as good as opening they've had for a while, keeping in mind they have that disallowed goal. But this is the best opportunity, best sided goal they've had for quite some time. Gallegos making the space nicely, but then couldn't get the ball sufficiently out from his feet and pulled the shot wide.
First shot of the second half with nearly 16 minutes played. Sydney FC have had just 2 shots at goal this evening, as opposed to Auckland's 10. XG very much in Auckland's favour. Back to Hoofslot. Elliott down with Brimmer. Gallegos. Brimmer again. And now Mai looking for a little 1-2 with Jesse Randall. That's another good turn of pace from Ocon Jr., but he can't find Pat Wood up the line. Sakai again was there. Gallegos now. Rogerson for Elliott. Callan Elliott gets there. The cross is a good one. Back post. Francis de Vries. Back in again. Rogerson can't get there. Elliott, oh, well, that's a wasted effort from Callan Elliott. Perhaps trying to drive the ball hard across the face of goal, but
I'd like to think you're right, and he just mishit it. Everything about that otherwise looked like he'd fancied himself from a most improbable angle.
we'll see what the statisticians make of it, whether it goes down in the shots column.
The ultimate arbiters.
There's a little opportunity there that Gallegos couldn't make stick. Sydney FC with plenty of theatrics down that touchline to try and get the throw underway, and runs and decoy runs, and in the end we bring it all the way back around again, which only plays into the hands of Auckland FC, really, who the best defence the land last season. Holman. Joe Lolly comes inside, turns De Vries inside and out. And then he slipped again at the crucial moment. And that is frustration personified.
But he made great space, Joe Lolly. I'd say that's at least the third, if not the fourth time he's slipped over. And that was a crucial one because he'd made such good space.
Seven goals conceded in 26 matches last year. Only Melbourne City could boast better as Jesse Randall got the better of Alex Grant, but not Alex Popovich. This is one of their routines from last year, the long throws towards Dan Hall. Gallegos back in, it's a good ball. And Guillermo Mai, whose touch has been exquisite all evening, well, he needed something special and couldn't provide it that time. I mentioned how Sydney FC haven't beaten Auckland. Only two sides have beaten Auckland. Western United, who have 2 wins out of 3. Zach Cole strikes it and strikes it purely. That was a good hit from distance, straight down the middle, and in the end not troubling Michael Vowd.
Very good hit. Made the chance for himself too. That's the confidence. Got plenty of it. Decent shot on him as well.
Change coming. Marley Francois makes way on that far side. Lockie Brook, no longer the newest signing at Auckland FC, but certainly one of the new faces at the club this season, comes on for his second cup appearance. Just Sydney FC's third shot of the evening from Akol Akon. Oh, it's Pat Wood's turn to slip at a crucial moment. First touch for Lockie Brook. He's a tricky little customer, Lockie Brook, who showed 2 seasons ago that he does have an eye for goal, particularly in the cup. Elliott again, forced back with Hiroki Sakai. Mai. Elliott again. No flag up against Lockie Brook. Brimmer. Back for Mai, it's good play. The cut back, very nice football. Rogerson wouldn't sit for him. And Lockie Brook couldn't take over either. Ryan Grant bundled off the ball. Gallegos closed down quickly. All a bit helter-skelter for a couple of moments now. Pat Wood balked himself, but in the end has managed to get there. Against Elliott, into the area. Pat Wood's done brilliantly. Just couldn't find Yuli with the cut back, and Joe Lolly can't get there either. Randall, good pace. Jesse Randall trying to come inside. Too many sky blue shirts there. Ocon again does brilliantly well. Now Yuli. He's got Lolly. He's got Wood and Akon arriving. 4 up for Sydney FC against 5 for Auckland. Lolly's cross. And again, it's another slip, is it? In the centre, Pat Wood might have hurt himself that time.
Well, I think he fell before the ball got there. I think he lost his footing, but then maybe Sakai landed on him. The game sprung to life in those last few minutes. Trinelli again making good space. Yeah. He lost his balance. Pat Wood, and then for his sins, Rocky Sakai landed on him. Speaking of the way a team might shape up, in that position of Lockie Brook on the ball now, we just had
Guillermo Mai taking over now. De Vries.
We just had the opportunity to see what might be for Auckland. Brimmer passes to Brook, passes to Guillermo Mai. 3 beautiful technicians.
As the cross back post, Vowed comes, and there's another collision, and again it's Pat Wood who comes off second best.
It's pretty mouthwatering actually, that trio for Auckland if they get together.
It wasn't the first quality that sprung to mind in their side last season.
No,
certainly in that creative.
No, sure. And even the man on the ball now, Guillermo Mai, whose season just grew beautifully. But to start with, you know, it took him a significant part of the early stage of the season to really find his feet. We've seen exactly what he's all about.
Elliott's cross is a good one. The header wasn't bad from Guillermo Mai. It was a beautifully timed run. But unfortunately for Auckland and for Mai himself, it was straight at Gus Hoefslot.
Probably the best chance, really, of the game. Keeper not having to work at all.
Well, a yard either side, and that probably would have been in the back of the net. Another little warning sign for Rufuk Tale as both coaches prepare to head to the bench again. Thiago Quintal is preparing to come into the game as Akon.
Sakai's gone down. Now this isn't a good one.
Was there a touch from Akon?
He motored past Akon and then got very proppy, hit the turf immediately.
It's as though he's claiming there was contact and then accepting the apology. So Quintal is coming on for the lively Pat Wood, and Louis Vestrata is coming on for Auckland as well. So another enforcer coming into the game for Auckland FC. We'll try and see who is the player making way. It will be Felipe Gallegos, who's just seen his number come up. Sakai is still walking a little gingerly. Let's have a look here.
I mean, you can't put that down to the contact of Akon.
Unless he's kicked his other leg himself, like tripped himself after the contact.
But again, I mean, at mid-30s, he still runs incredibly fast. Fantastic physical shape.
Akon in behind. Carlin Elliott. Flag stays down. Akon crosses. Back post. De Vries missed it. Did he miss it entirely? Yes. says the referee, Casey Rybelt. Joe Lolly was heading across to try and influence that and get the corner, but goal kick it is. Just 3 efforts on target in the match so far. It was Rhys Yuli's shot in the first half. That header from Guillermo Mai, the second. By the way, just for the record, that Callan Elliott effort did go down as a shot. Verstraete. Brimmer. Dispossessed. Ocon. Back with Joel King. Rhys Yuli, oh, well, he slipped at the crucial moment, then went diving in. Guillermo Mai, lovely jink. Past Holman. Lockie Brook keeps it alive with Rogerson. Logan Rogerson. Verstraete. Coolly done with De Vries. That left foot deflected behind. Well defended by Ryan Grant. Now a corner. An attacking one. Jake Brimmer there. Matthias McAllister is ready to come on for Sydney FC, but they'll wait until they've defended this corner. They'll wait till this corner's taken before making that substitution. In it comes from Brimmer. Can't find Guillermo Mai. Quintal. Oh, the slip by Sakai. I do get the feeling, so tight this game has been, that one of these little slips might yet prove very, very costly. Yuli with Akon. Kills the ball beautifully into his path. Akon still going. Oh, and then the rush of blood. Confidence is one thing, overconfidence is another entirely. Substitution coming, and it's Rhys Yuli who's coming off, so the 16-year-old Akol Akon stays out there as Matthias McAllister scored the match winner against Western United. Enters the fray. Another youngster with big raps. A very energetic entrance into the game as well from the number 22. Here's Sakai. Well played, Quintal. Seizing the opportunity, deciding to try and take on Verstraete. Throw goes Sydney's way. He managed to turn the ball over immediately, but Auckland haven't kept it in. Popovic receives from Grant and gives to Grant. Brimmer. Again, it's turned over too cheaply from Sydney. Rogerson lays it back to De Vries. Jake Brimmer again. player capable of distilling the perfect pass. Also has a little free kick in his locker as well, as he doesn't get the whistle that time. Rogerston with De Vries, Sakai, Lockie Brook, dispossessed. Now Sakai's come forward, and Sydney have the chance to try and break on the counter-attack. A little misunderstanding. Quintal got blindsided by Callan Elliott as well. He's taken the air out of him. Problem here on the sideline for Thiago Quintal. Steve Corica is not happy that the referee has called a halt to proceedings, because the player is on the sidelines and not...
Yeah, I'm not convinced he didn't take a little bang to the head then.
There may have been a little bit of whiplash or something involved. It certainly looked like it winded him. Let's head down to Neve Owens on the sidelines. Nevo.
Yeah, Harps, you're on the money with this one. The message came really clearly from the Sydney FC bench there that it was a head knock. That was the concern with Quintal, that it was a head knock. So they were very keen for play to stop and for him to be assessed. And it does look like when play gets underway, we will see the big Englishman, Sam Cosgrove, who's only been with Auckland FC for a week. We've mentioned the fact that he towers over many here in the stadium tonight, certainly over his coach, Bimby, who he's standing beside right now. 28-year-old last played with Barnsley. They got big raps on him, big hopes for the big number 9, and he's about to enter the fray here.
Thank you, Neve. Cosgrove coming on for his Auckland FC debut, where he replaces Jesse Randall. Well, his best spell was 3 years at Aberdeen, 2018 to 21 as a youngster. 47 goals in 103 league appearances for Aberdeen. Now Quintal wants to continue, I think, but no, I think the doctor has told him that there'll be no risk taken, as Joe Lolly is onto the front foot. Lolly's shot deflected wide. Thiago Quintal is not happy that he's suffering a concussion ruling there, but chances cannot be taken. He's absolutely devastated, the young man, as he heads to the bench, and it's going to be Joe Lacey who comes on. Joe Lacey, who made a bit of a name for himself against Wrexham last month. Well, he cuts a very forlorn figure. Thiago Quintal on the bench at the moment. If the semi-finals are next weekend, it'll rule him out of that as well. As Lacey does come on. Joe Lacey, and his first contribution will be to take this corner. Well, his impact against Wrexham was considerable. Let's see how the number 29 goes here. Near post. Well, Auckland again furious, because Casey Rybelt was standing in the middle of the penalty box when that corner was whipped in. She was wanting to have a word to Messrs Grant and Elliott. Now the corner taken again with Ocon. And now the free kick goes against Alex Grant or Alex Popovich. One of the two Alexes at the back. Free kick Auckland's way. Plenty of wrestling, you can see it going on there, and Casey Rybelt was keeping a close eye on things. Joel King can't keep it in play. 6.5 minutes left in the 90.
Well, it's been a very fractious last 10 minutes. There was a few very bright periods before then. Very disjointed last 10 minutes or so. Very tight struggle.
Here's Cosgrove. His first touch, lays it back for Guillermo Mai. The chance, and Lockie Brook at the back post turns it home. Well, Cosgrove was involved, Guillermo Mai as well. And in the end, the initial shot was blocked by Gus Hoefslot. And to the delight of the Kiwi fans, who are few and far between at Cogra this evening, it is Lockie Brook with his first goal for his new side, who's given Auckland a precious lead with 5 left to play.
Well, Sydney had a lot of players, but couldn't stop the flow of the ball. We got to it. Hoefslot couldn't get enough of a mitt on the ball to push it away seriously. All he can do is deflect it into the path of the unmarked Lockie Brook. Opens his account for his new team, Auckland, who've got the steal on Sydney now with 5 to play.
That was Logan Rogerson's shot, which could only be palmed into the path of Lockie Brook by Gus Hoefslot, who wasn't happy with himself, the keeper, or with perhaps conceding the goal and with his own contribution. But Sydney now, having managed just 5 efforts at goal and just 1 on target in the first 85 minutes of this contest, now have just 5 left to try and hit the back of the net. And that is just to take this to extra time. Cosgrove. The giant frame. Oh, it's a good ball for Guillermo Mai. He tried to bring it down under pressure. Now Holman looks up. Switch for Akon. Okon takes over. Here's Joel King. Oh, that's a great ball. Back post. Sydney have equalised. Joe Lolly. An emotional Joe Lolly has equalised for Sydney FC barely 2 minutes after they fell behind.
Well, that's the way to hit back. It's been a pretty toothless attack for Sydney most of the night. Okon threading the ball to Joel King. He hits the perfect ball across the edge of the 6-yard box. The goalkeeper, Michael Vowd, is completely bamboozled. Joe Lacey hits the near post, takes the attention of the keeper. Neither get the ball, and it goes through clean to Joe Lolly, who buries the chance and resuscitates Sydney's cup ambition.
And I say an emotional Joe Lolly. You can see his look to the skies as he celebrated that goal. Sydney FC wearing black armbands this evening in memory of Joe Lolly's good friend Jordan Scott, who passed away. And Joe Lolly clearly dedicating that goal to his friend. A special goal, a special moment for Sydney FC. 3 minutes left to play. And perhaps we're set for a grandstand finish all of a sudden. Okon again involved. Lacey gets it wide. Here's Lolly. Joe Lolly against De Vries. Shot block, well defended. Oh, but is there a sting in the tail of this one for Sydney FC? Lacey can't control. De Vries scoops it clear. Mai wanted the free kick, doesn't get it. Telling contributions in the build-up to both goals from Cosgrove and Mai for Auckland, from Ocon as well for Sydney. Oh, is his Grant. The cutback, did that hit the hand? Referee says corner. Well, Sydney FC can't believe it. The referee, Casey Rybelt, looked to her assistant on the far side. Ooh, well, that's hit the hand. All the crowd have just seen it on the replay as well. Well, I wouldn't say it was intentional from Dan Hall, but that's a penalty every day of the week these days. If it hits the arm away from the body. No VAR, corner, played in. Lolly again. Cross, back post is a good one. Grant was there. Sakai's header. Here's Lacey. Chips it. Back in. Cosgrove with the first defensive header. Oh, and the slip and another corner to come. Pressure coming from Sydney.
It is good pressure from Sydney. Very good pressure. Logan Rogerson losing his footing. 19th player to fit that description tonight. Is that going to be a key one?
In it comes from Lolly.
Great header.
Kashiyama Mai.
Wow.
Lolly again. Comes onto the left. Lolly hits it. Fouled. Improvises to get it clear.
Vowed then, he looked like one of those inflatable men outside the auto yards and the pizza shops. Look at this. He's given it some, Joe Lolly.
Corner. Back post. That's a defensive header. It's going to be another corner.
And it's terrific pressure from Sydney. And it's excellent defending from Auckland. And it's a great contest.
We're into the second minute of added time. It'll be Joe Lacey to come across and take. Ocon. Lacey again. Nice turn. Holman back out. Auckland are preparing a change. Brian Grant's header. Alex Grant gets there. Now Lolly. He's on a mission all of a sudden since that goal, Joe Lolly, to try and turn this one in Sydney's favour. 3 minutes left of stoppage time, minimum. Holman hacks the ball away. Cosgrove. Little nudge in the back from Alex Grant, just enough.
Well, that's the sort of tackle a hungry central defender puts on a big striker early in the game or away from goal. I mean, he's going nowhere there. Now you've just invited Francis De Vries to drop one with his left foot. Someone's got to pick up Cosgrove, 6'4". Someone's got to watch the other. This could be a crucial error of judgment from Alex Grant.
Picked up a yellow card for his troubles. The substitution's coming. Logan Rogerson makes way. Coming into the game, Liam Gillian. who lost his way midway through last season, but it looks like he's back in Steve Corica's plans well and truly at the moment. Now a goal here will give Sydney FC precious little time to try and come back a second time. It's a good ball in, and it's very well defended. It's going to be out for a corner though. It's Sydney FC's turn to do the defending. Auckland's turn to throw the kitchen sink at their opponents. Again, referee wants to have words as Jake Brimmer stands over this corner. Ryan Grant, Joel King, Cosgrove gets the talking to, along with Gus Hoofslot, the Sydney FC keeper. Look at that scrum of players. Dan Hall finds himself on his backside momentarily. In it comes from Brimmer. The punch from Hoofslot was a good one. Brook with Sakai. Ball back over the top. Beautifully weighted. And it's come off Lockie Brook last. Matthias McAllister involved. Crowd getting involved as well. The 5 minutes of stoppage time are up. How much time will referee Casey Rybelt add on before we head to extra time? Hoofslot's turn to slip, but there is no more time for that to prove costly or for either side to fashion one final chance. Full time, but not the end of the match. Extra time to follow. We're all finished here after a thrilling finale and late goals to Lockie Brook and Joe Lolly. It's finished in the 90 minutes. Sydney FC 1, Auckland FC 1.
I tell you what, Taz, that got super spicy late, didn't it? There was that penalty from a Sydney FC perspective, and they were ropeable that it was denied. Just over to my left, Ufuk Talay continues to have a conversation with the officials here. He was really disappointed with the decision that was made in the moment, and a really big decision late in the game as Sydney FC chase what would be their first Ufuk Talay continues to have a conversation with the officials here. He was really disappointed with the decision that was made in the moment, and a really big decision late in the game as Sydney FC chase what would be their first victory over Auckland in the short history between these two sides. Over 3,000 fans here in Jubilee today, and over here just behind me,
welcome back to Jubilee Stadium. We are all set for extra time. It's Sydney FC that get the first 15-minute stanza underway. We are locked at 1-1. Andy Harper, for a long time, this match resembled a real war of attrition. It burst to life briefly with 2 goals in 2 minutes as we approached the 90. But now it's going to take another little moment of magic from someone to try and turn this in their side's favour.
Yeah, and the controversy late of the potential handball on Dan Hall. Sydney players were adamant, as you could imagine, late in the game, that penalty award, and if you could assume a successful taking of it. But we're back where we started, and it's been a very tight tussle between these two teams.
Auckland FC with their foot on the ball, as it's been for much of the second half of this contest so far. Here's Dan Hall, the former Central Coast Mariner, with Hiroki Sakai. Louis Vestrata, who made a big impact last season in the centre of the park. The Belgian midfielder. Yamamai. scored again. It's the big, powerful Louis Verstraete who gave away the foul. Plenty of big club experience in this Auckland squad. Louis Verstraete has played for a number of Belgium's big clubs. After coming through the ranks at Ghent, played for Beveren, Ostend, Antwerp. Jaume Mai, despite being Uruguayan, spent a fair bit of his career around South America, Mexico and Argentina. Most recently, before signing for Auckland, played for Newell's Old Boys, which is famously Lionel Messi's first club, also the club of Marcelo Bielsa in Argentina. Sakai. He made a European Cup final with Olympique Marseille. Hiroki Sakai, after a number of years with Hanover in the Bundesliga. Mai with Brimmer. Jake Brimmer, who came through the youth ranks of a certain Liverpool FC. De Vries. Dan Hall with Sakai again. Sydney FC have barely touched the ball since taking the kickoff nearly 4 minutes ago in this first period of extra time. Jaume Mai still looking to invite De Vries forward. Popovic slips. McAllister dispossessed by Verstraete, strong from Grant. Liam Gillian leaves it for De Vries, and he points towards the penalty box and says this one's headed that way. Cosgrove. Dan Hall has immediately come forward. They take it short. Jake Brimmer doing the block on Joe Lolly. Gillian's ball back post. And Hoefsloot with a good grab. He releases Akon quickly. White shirts just streaming back in cover. Holman for Ryan Grant. Now Joe Lolly. Back for Ryan Grant. Good run from the veteran fullback. Lolly again. He's won the corner off Francis De Vries. Three shots apiece on target for most of the 90 minutes. Well, as we approach 90 minutes, it was 2-1 in Auckland's favour. Lolly with the delivery. Fouled comes and punches. Holman with Akon. It's a nice first touch. Akon turning Brimmer. One way, then the other. But one turn, perhaps too many. Oh, as Brimmer slips and gives it straight back. The cutback, the opportunity. Alex Popovic denied by desperate defending. Corner to come.
Brilliant chance. Player slipping over. The Jew settles. And it's getting more and more precarious. Becoming increasingly likely that a player who loses their footing is going to be responsible for the concession of a goal.
Ocon's clearance. Oh, and Akon took it away from Joe Lolly. I think it was arriving. Sydney FC have made just 3 changes so far. Auckland have made 5. Both sides are allowed to make 6 because we've headed for extra time, and then both sides are allowed to make 7 if they want to bring on a reserve goalkeeper if necessary because of the concussion.
Well, the Tiago one wouldn't count as a sub, would it? Because it was
no, that's you're allowed to, and so Auckland are allowed to make an extra one as well. So they can empty the benches, if you like, this evening. Sydney still have Wataru Kamijo, Marin France and Will Kennedy, as well as number 2 goalkeeper at the moment, Alexander Zavadinos, their NPL goalkeeper. Brooke. Big up and under. Goofslot with a comfortable claim. And again, the young goalkeeper looks as quickly as possible to get Sydney moving forward. Gillian. Is there a foul? Yes. In the end. Ryan Pratt almost slipped there trying to take the free kick quickly. In the end, the free kick from Joe Lolly is intercepted for Strata.
That was beautiful. Well, the first couple of touches were beautiful. Then Joe Lolly has stolen possession.
Hahn. Well, again, he worked his way inside into a shooting opportunity. And I say shooting opportunity from nearly 30 metres out. It would have taken something very special. Sakai with Callan Elliott. Here's Jake Brimmer trying to get on the ball. He's made definitely an impact since coming on. Jake Brimmer finds Verstrata, rides the challenge of Lacey, De Vries, and that left boot this time fails to deliver. That's been a rarity. Oh, another great touch from Guillermo Mai. Put the ball onto his left boot, but couldn't find the target.
Turned out beautifully, didn't it? That's just delightful from Guillermo Mai.
Grant forced long towards Hahn, but he wasn't expecting it. Callan Elliott read the situation well. Auckland have the ball back. De Vries. There are a couple of fantastic stories always in a football match, but in this Auckland squad, I mentioned all the big clubs that the players have been playing for. Well, Francis De Vries, as this ball is into the area, has had a most unlikely career. Played in America, played in Canada, played in New Zealand, in the local league for a long time as well, and in Sweden before making his way back, and it was with Auckland FC, he forced his way into the New Zealand national team. We're just 1 year out from a World Cup. As well, a roundabout path as Hoofslot does well to keep that in play and avoid conceding another corner. Three minutes left in extra time first half. Gillian, little touch for Mai. He looks up, just waits on the ball. Lockie Brook, a touch outside for Callan Elliott. The cross, Cosgrove. Oh, Ryan Grant had to adapt, had to react quickly, and managed to do so. The crowd getting into the action, following the lead of the Cove. De Vries. This time he does go long towards Dan Hall. Joel King's header away. Verstrata gets it back from De Vries. Verstrata strikes it, moves around, fumbled. The chance perhaps. Lockie Brook just couldn't find the space for a shooting opportunity. And now Gillian, as Auckland come again. Liam Gillian still trying to bend it. Comes off the head of Popovich. Corner for Auckland.
Nervous times for Sydney. Some excitement from Auckland. Verstrata opening the can of worms there, looking to shoot and get some skid, some assistance off the dewy surface. And Hoofslot, who's been great tonight. I mean, he looks every bit the keeper, but can't tidy it up. Panics clearance in the end. And Liam Gillian on the second effort, forcing the corner. So good pressure being built by Auckland.
And De Vries again, who started all that action with that long throw, now has another chance to deliver, this time more conventionally perhaps. In it comes, back post. Liam Gillian wrestling with Joe Lacey, who did a good job, a good enough job at any rate. Sees it out for a goal kick. Dan Hall with a strong defensive header over Joe Lacey. Grant with Ocon. He's still going. Paul Ocon finds Lacey. Just took him a little bit too long to get going as Gillian bore down. 1 minute of stoppage time, announced by the fourth official, Beck Mackey. We are into that now. Will there be time? Oh, it's De Vries with the unforced error. Grant Long. Lolly to contest. But Joe Lacey is basically playing as the second striker along with Matthias McAllister. McAllister hasn't seen much of the ball since coming on as the half-time whistle goes. 15 minutes left before penalties. Sydney FC, who have an excellent penalty record, which we will get to in due course if necessary, but we're in uncharted waters already, Andy, with this Auckland FC side. It's still 1-1. Auckland have never been forced to extra time in a competitive match in their very short history, let alone penalties. But so far, they're looking every bit the part. local time in southern Sydney as we get this second half of extra time underway. As Andy Harper just mentioned, Gus Hoefsloot was the busier of the two keepers in that first half of extra time. But really it's been a match for the first 105 minutes of it, where the defences and organisation and discipline have been right on top.
Yeah, and I guess the only consistent break in equilibrium was when a player lost footing. It happened more frequently in that first period of extra time than it had for a while. It's Auckland again who are setting the standard to start this second period of extra time.
Again, Hoefsloot looks to release quickly. Ocon. With Akon. Oh, he's banged knees with Callan Elliott there, or perhaps he's come up down with a bit of cramp. Callan Elliott, he's off the field of play. Tale is giving the first aid and also making sure Callan Elliott stays off the field of play, I think, was half the intention. Fourth officials making sure that's the case as Auckland have the ball. They're a player down, but they have the ball and they're looking to stay on the front foot. Luka Viselic is getting ready to come on, though. The bib has come off. This might mean a change in plans. Liam Gillian. Gillian does well, still Gillian. Lockie Brook now back with Verstrata. Oh, he just wouldn't pull the trigger. Liam Gillian. Brimmer. Gillian goes again. It will be a throw for Auckland and a chance now to make the change, and I think that's the end of the road for Callan Elliott. Oh, we've got another player down with cramp on that far side, so Steve Corica has a couple of big decisions to be made here. We know who's coming on. I don't think we're sure of who's coming off for the moment. De Vries is back on his feet. Callan Elliott is the player coming off. And Luka Viselic is on. He comes into the centre of defence, so Hiroki Sakai moves to right back. The long throw is the order of the day. De Vries plays a short little 1-2 with Brimmer. Now it comes towards Guillermo Mai. Verstrata couldn't get there to the loose ball. Verstrata again with Brimmer. Now Sakai. Little touch with Lockie Brook. Joe Lacey was very quickly onto the scene. Brook's done well. Under pressure, Lockie Brook wants to go on with it. Casey Rybelt wants to have a word to Lockie Brook. Does she esteem that that reaction was a little of an overreaction from Lockie Brook? He's into the book. A little push and nothing more in the end from Brook. Brimmer. Ball in, cleared by Holman. Lacey's touch. Not enough purchase on it. Visilic with Dan Hall. Hall again. A little urgency. Wonder which side will be more comfortable with the idea of penalties. Gillian. Ocon. Looks long, invites Lacey to chase. Dan Hall gets there. Sydney FC have an outstanding penalty record. Their first 3 penalty shootouts were in grand finals. They won all 3 of them. Their last 2 have both been against the Central Coast Mariners after 3-all draws in the Cup. The most recent 2 years ago. And they've won both of them as well. Brimmer with Gillian. Will we get that far? Gillian again into the area. Lolly defends well. Lacey looks for McAllister. Five out of 5 for Sydney FC. It will be a new exercise for Auckland if we get that far. With the challenge, let's take the opportunity to head down to Neve Owens. Neve.
Joe Lacey just in front of me, Robbie, currently having yet another chat with Ufi Tale. The 18-year-old scored that big goal against Wrexham at Allianz Stadium. We remember that one. So interesting, these youngsters up front with Matthias McAllister alongside him. Another 18-year-old, Akola Khan, the 16-year-old. If it does go all the way to penalties, we could be getting a good look at some of these Sydney FC Academy products and some of the biggest moments of their careers so far.
Absolutely, it's a big test of character, of nerve. There's one train of thought that it's a lottery. There's another that it's anything but. Here's Lolly. Shot blocked by Verstrata. Popovic straight back to Lolly again.
Well, either way, the game has settled in its own skin that penalties are the answer. We went through that phase of golden goal and the debate about should we take players off at various periods in extra time to make it 6v6 ultimately. In the end, the world of football has settled on penalties. Great drama.
Don't forget the halfway penalty run from the MLS.
Yeah.
Well, the American League back in the old days.
NASL, yeah. And finally, the game has come to terms, I think.
No way through. Grant. Well played for Lacey. Is there a foul there by Visilic? No, says referee Casey Rybelt.
Oops.
Is that a foul throw against Hiroki Sakai? It is poor old Hiroki Sakai. Just slipped out of his hands.
Even the best.
Holman and Lacey. Neat passing. Corey Holman again with Akon. Touch gets away from him. Again with Holman. That's a nice turn from Corey Holman. Joe Lolly with a bit of space to run at De Vries, who is just struggling with cramp. Lolly straight past him. Lolly still going. Lolly still going. Oh, deflected off Dan Hall. Corner for Sydney.
They've closed those gaps when they've come, the Auckland defence really well all night. Joe Lolly skipping inside a couple of times. Outside De Vries on the first occasion. And then once inside Estrada, then against De Vries. But Dan Hall in the way.
Joe Lacey standing over the corner with Ocon. His cross, back post, Grant arriving. Popovic asking for something more. Coolly done by Joel King. De Vries has got no legs left. Oh, and the touch, lunging from Corey Holman, just delivered it straight to Michael Vowd. Liam Gillian, now he's got legs. Very quick, straight past Ryan Grant. Gillian into the area, shoots. And Popovic with the block. Goodness me, that's what a substitute and fresh legs can do in that situation.
It was a decent burst, wasn't it?
There's the Sydney FC bench, and poor old Thiago Quintal there, who was taken off, chatting with Pat Wood with a concussion. He was inconsolable for a while there on the sidelines. Looks as though Futale's going to leave the other four substitutes where they were. For Sydney FC on the bench, we've got just over 3 minutes left. Brimmer delivers near post, and it was Viselic, who, just like Paul Ocon Jr. for Sydney FC, is the son of a Kiwi international, Luka Viselic, Ivan, the dad. He's had an illustrious career. He's now coach in the coaching staff at the other Auckland. De Vries, Grant pokes it through towards McAllister. Well, he's an ice-cold finisher, Matthias McAllister, but he hasn't had even a sniff at goal in this one so far since coming on. Holman does well, so does Viselic. Desperate little piece of defending as he stepped out of the line. .90 seconds left, plus anything the referees want to add on to the 120. Popovic clears again. Viselic with Hall. Is there time? 60 seconds left. 2 hours of football haven't been enough to separate these two sides. Will it be penalties to decide who takes on Heidelberg in this year's semi-finals of the Cup? That ball has hit Casey Rybelt. The referee will have to drop ball. She's going to give it to Auckland FC. Sydney FC felt that perhaps they were going to get it. Mai with Gillian. Brimmer. Verstrata. Sakai with Hall. Still players slipping and sliding all over the place. Cosgrove was involved in the goal, hasn't made too much of an impact otherwise, the new Auckland signing up front. 1 minute of stoppage time. Now Auckland going to have the last chance. Lockie Brook takes it for a long way out. Well, it was hard to see where that last chance was going to come from, if not a speculative effort from distance. Both sides have defended well.
Yeah, and Sydney not in a rush to try and launch a last attack. Hoofsloot will launch the ball upfield, but he's in no rush to get rid of it at all.
Long from Hoofslot. Gillian, but there is no more time. And it will be penalties to decide who of Sydney FC or Auckland FC will go through to the semi-finals of the Australia Cup 2025. 2 goals in 2 minutes from Brook and Lolly at the end of regulation time. Not enough to find a winner as we finish after 2 hours of football at Jubilee Stadium. Sydney 1, Auckland FC 1. And so history tells us if experience is a factor in these types of moments, well, Sydney FC have never lost a penalty shootout in the A-League era. In 5 attempts, 3 grand finals, 2 against Melbourne Victory, 1 against Perth Glory, and more recently 2 cup shootouts, both against the Central Coast Mariners. The most recent of which, Andy, you might remember, ended up 10-9 in favour of Sydney FC against the Mariners. They survived that one. They went on to lift the trophy.
That was down in Wollongong. Was Jaden Kucharski's equalising late.
In the 120th minute.
Amazing scenes.
Absolutely. Well, here we are now. Sydney FC. We can see behind that huddle, Gus Hoofslot is just going through the penalty research with the goalkeeping coach. Michael Vout as well. I think Sydney FC do now at Sky Park, their new training centre. They don't need to send up the drones anymore. Ryan Grant and Hiroki Sakai He was checking with coach Stevie Corica, Hiroki Sakai, and Neve Owens just telling me that Steve Corica was very quick to say we shoot first. And a lot of fans now are making their way down to that end of the field. At least in the grandstand they are. I'm not sure if the Cove are on the move down the bottom now. Casey Rybelt having a word to our two goalkeepers. They must have 1 foot on the line when the ball is kicked. That is the rule, and as we've seen a couple of times recently, Andy, penalty taker is not allowed to kick the ball twice.
Yes.
It's been a curious one that we've seen, and with all the players slipping and sliding
Yes.
this evening,
Yeah,
it may yet be a factor.
Very good point.
Francis de Vries is coming forward. In fact, no, it's Sam Cosgrove. The giant blonde frame of 28-year-old Sam Cosgrove, involved in the lead up to Lockie Brooks' goal for Auckland. Now has a chance to give his side the lead in the shootout, and he does so very coolly, sending Hoofslot the wrong way.
Yeah, it's a good penalty. Probably his second touch.
Just about. He hasn't seen much of the ball, has he? Yeah. Now Ryan Grant, with all the experience. Sydney's highest appearance maker in club history against Michael Vowd. He's just seen Ollie Sale arrive at the club. This could be a little chance to put himself well and truly in that discussion. Ryan Grant scores. Went the same way as Sam Cosgrove did. 1-1.
Excellent. From Ryan Grant, unerring. 2 good penalties to get us going here.
Yamamai next to step up against Hoofslot. I can confirm the Cove have all moved up that end of the pitch as well, and you can hear the jeers from the Sydney FC faithful. Mai steps up and saved by Hoofslot. He went the right way. It wasn't hit with power, and it wasn't hit with enough accuracy in the end from Guillermo Mai.
That's a poor penalty from Guy Mai. And it's Joel King for Sydney now.
Left footer. Joel King against Michael Vowd to give Sydney a 2-1 lead. And it's saved as well. Vowd guessing right, going right. And again, just like Guillermo Mai, you'd have to say it's a poor penalty.
Very poor penalty. Hit a beautiful pass for the equalising goal.
Now, that cultured left foot of de Vries drives it home. Hoofslot went the right way, but it bounced just in front of the keeper and through his arms. Auckland back in front. There's Matthias McAllister. Takes his responsibilities and steps up. Just 18 years of age. Already scored for Sydney on competitive debut. Steps up. Oh, and he's made an absolute meal of it. The youngster. He had the stuttered run up, and then he absolutely made terrible contact with the ball.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. He made a real mess of that, the young fella. It's a hard one, a real hard one to take. Brimmer.
Jake Brimmer steps up with the opportunity to give Auckland a 3-1 lead in the shootout. Their first ever penalty shootout, Auckland. And Brimmer drives it hard straight down the middle and under the crossbar. 3-1 as Joe Lolly strides forward.
There's no mucking around. And Jake Brimmer there at the roof of the net. I dare say there was all the Auckland contingent a little nervous off the boot, but that was going to sail over the bar.
Joe Lolly already on the score sheet this evening. Oh, he slips like he's slipped all night. And that's it. Auckland can scarcely believe it. And we wondered if a slip would prove the crucial moment. And at the most crucial of moments, it is a slip from Joe Lolly that has sent Auckland into the semi-finals of the Australia Cup, where they will take on Heidelberg United in Melbourne. Well, a quite incredible finish to this contest, where we wondered if it would be a moment of brilliance to separate the two sides. In the end, it is a couple of disastrous mistakes and poorly taken penalties which proved the undoing of Sydney FC. We're all finished here in this quarter-final at Jubilee Stadium, where it finished 1-1 after 2 hours of football. And Auckland FC have won the shootout by 3-1.
Michael, what an incredible moment. Tell us feelings first coming out of the first successful shootout of your career.